Originally settled as Ocean View during the 1850s, the city's population boomed with displaced
Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of Fantastic Comics Presents. This is our Annex show because for those of you that watch us live on Tuesdays or after the fact, we're going to be having a guest on, and I don't want to get everything messed up with all the other stuff that we do on the show, so that's what this is. We're going to have tomorrow, for the 12th of September, we're going to have a Mr. Joe Casey on the show live. He's going to be coming in to talk comics, projects that he has going on, projects that he's done, and looking forward to some of the things that are being talked about in comics, and just, his perception on things. And that's going to be a real fun night, and I highly recommend you all show up during or after. But for those of you that are new to Fantastic Comics, my name is Yule. I own Fantastic Comics, which is a store in Berkeley, California. We're open every Wednesday through Sunday from 12 to 5 p.m. Although I have been open later recently during the summer. The days are longer, so it's a lot easier to be able to, stick around and meet people after they get off work. And this is a YouTube channel about comic books from not only a fan, that's me, Yule, but a store owner and a store's point of view, because these sometimes there's some conflicting thoughts there. What I personally like is not important if the majority of the customers enjoy something. Things that sell are the important thing, and getting the comics into the hands of the people that want them is like I said, the important thing. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're going to be talking about some new comics that are coming out on Wednesday. But first, I would like to talk about some comics from last week that I thought were really good. Actually, I got to admit, I didn't read a whole lot. I only actually got through with like one new book this week, but I've been reading some previous stuff, getting ready for the interview with Joe tomorrow. So I'm going to show you things that sold out and one comic I actually read and enjoyed. First up, every month this book comes out, I cannot get the numbers right. I always have to do a reorder. And Peacemaker, once again, sold out. And that's wonderful. I have people that get those put on hold, and then people pull it off the shelf. And this 6-issue miniseries is very much like the James Gunn Suicide Squad with John Cena, or the Peacemaker series on HBO. Kyle Starks and Stephen Pugh are doing a really good job making that effort of Peacemaker come across in the comic book. And wow, what a great cover this one is. Next up, we have Black Panther, number 4. I got to admit, my numbers on this aren't the tightest, or I shouldn't say the tightest. These are not the largest numbers of comics that I have in the store, but it has been selling out, and I have been having to get reorders in on this book, and people are actually liking it when I wasn't quite so sure if they were going to. Even they weren't so sure if they were going to, but people are still picking it up, and that's excellent. Especially since some of the last iterations of Black Panther haven't been so great. The art has been really good, and the 4th issue smartly has a crossover, or a guest star, if you will, in Deathlock. So, when I get this back in, come in and check it out. Fantastic Four, again, another book that does really well to the point where I usually have to reorder. Numbers are increasing every month as it goes on. I think the Alex Ross covers help. The single story concepts that Ryan North brings out and the art by Coelho and other people have been really good. I really like the simple single issue story. They're not simple, but but they've been really solid. And for people that don't like Ryan North, if you can't get over it by now, you're never going to. But his Fantastic Four has been excellent and definitely a departure from some of the previous iterations recently. Next up, we have Doctor Strange. Actually, the next two offerings are going to be from Jed MacKay. Jed MacKay and probably Al Ewing are the most prolific writers at Marvel right now. They're doing pretty much everything. And with the exception of John Hickman being like the rock star, this guy is definitely the guy to pay attention to. His Doctor Strange has been fun, not unlike the Ryan North book. A lot of these issues and stories have been single stories. So, you can pick one up, read it, put it down, pick another one up, not be lost because the story is pretty much being told right there in that one issue. And again, Alex Ross on covers doing really good, and Pascal Ferry doing. He had a couple issues where he took a break, but overall, Pascal Ferry doing anything in comics is something that everybody should pay attention to. Good stuff. And the last one I didn't read that sold out was Moon Knight. Again, a book that fluctuates. Sometimes I sell more than normal, sometimes a little bit less than normal. But when I really try and make the numbers tight, that's when I sell out. There's no win for trying. But Jed MacKay has been doing a really good job. And stop me if you heard this one. A lot of the stories have been single story issues. There has been themes that run through the stories and a bigger concept that's been going on. But overall, really bite-sized, easy to read stories. And if you just want to read some Moon Knight, this has been a pretty darn good series. Lastly, Amazing Spider-Man number 33. Zeb Wells with art by Pat Gleason, although this is a cover by J.R. Jr. In the last issue, the sins of Norman Osborn have been put on the tip of a spear so that they could stab it in Norman and bring back the Green Goblin. But instead, the bullet was taken by Peter Parker Spider-Man, and he got all that bad mojo. And now he's hunting down Kraven, not unlike the classic J.M. DeMatteis and Mike Zeck Kraven's Last Stand. Is it Kraven's Last Stand? Whatever. Not unlike that, there are elements in this book that remind you of that, and wow, it's really super creepy. I liked it a lot, and this was definitely my favorite issue of the week. So, with that being said, let's take all this down, and we're going to get into some new comic books. In no particular order, although I did put numbers by them, we have a Venom annual coming out. And like most of the Marvel annuals that have been coming out recently, they are part of the Contest of Chaos storyline that has been going through last week's Spider-Gwen, the week before Moon Knight. This thing kicked off with the Spider-Man annual. And in each one, it has a hero fighting another hero and a backup story also. So if you are a fan of Venom or Deadpool, you should check this one out. The Fall of X has been doing really well for me and my store. I have seen people out there on social media owning stores or running stores complaining about how things have been falling off. Not a Fantastic Comics. The Hellfire Gala was very well received. X-Men follow-up issue was very well received. The mini-series that have been coming out, the tie-ins, this is the first round of all that, and people are really digging it. X-Men Red follows the mutants on Mars. Storm's in charge, and Al Ewing, that guy, is writing it. So check it out. Another Venom with issue 25. Last issue had a really cool Doctor Doom being Venomized cover, and in this issue, he's on the cover yet again. It's a 25, issue number 25, so it's a centennial issue. You know how I feel about those. Get them. And it's a little extra price, but it's definitely thicker, and it's going to have some a bunch of different illustrators and people working on this book. X-Force number 44. Another one of those books that's been doing really well ever since the fall of X. Actually, X-Force, Ben Percy, a lot of his stuff does pretty well. He has his fans, although I'm not sure if people are actually fans of his, but his style, working on Ghost Rider, working on X-Force, working on Wolverine, doing things like that, people pretty much dig him, and I expect this to be a sellout. Green Lantern number 3, finally, Jeremy Adams and Germanico are back to do Hal Jordan on Earth. We had a 2-month break because of Night Terrors, and a lot of people are kind of worried whether or not sales are going to lag because this Dawn of DC has been pretty good, but we had that break. Nonetheless, I think Jeremy Adams is definitely an up-and-comer. His run on Flash was really good, and his first 2 issues of Green Lantern were excellent. Great, great art, and I recommend you check this one out. I definitely have the previous issues. Next up, we have Batman and Robin, number 1. Joshua Williamson, DC's Jed MacKay. And I don't know who DeMeo is. Is it Simone DeMeo? On art. There are a ton of different covers, just like there's a ton of different Batman books, but this is one you should definitely check out. And there's variant covers too. So who doesn't love a little art germ, am I right? Next up, we have Incredible Hulk number 4. If you have been down on Marvel Comics recently, especially if you read the last Hulk series, you might want to check this one out. Philip Kennedy Johnson is working on this book. He does action for DC. He does some Alien books, or has done some Alien books for Marvel, and now he's got a starring role working on the Incredible Hulk. Series artist Nick Klein is taking a break, but Travel Foreman's doing the work on this. And a 4th issue, go figure, guest starring Man-Thing. Who doesn't want to see Hulk versus Man-Thing? World's Finest, Teen Titans number 3 comes out. This is a miniseries written by Mark Waid with artwork by Emanuela Lupacchino. And she's got really, really cool, fun artwork. And look at this cute Chris Samney cover. Gotta love that. Next up, we've got Daredevil number 1 by Saladin Ahmed. And art by Aaron Cooter, which had a really cool picture in there that I gotta try and buy that page. So we'll see if we're going to be able to make that happen. It might be feasible, especially if everybody knows that this channel is now monetized. And when we're doing live interviews with people and you want to make sure I can read your questions, especially with guys like Joe Casey, you might want to start thinking about sending super chats these days. And if so, maybe I can afford that page I want to buy. Anyhow, a brand new Daredevil, a little bit of a different mission. Elektra's still in it. She's still wearing the red. But, if you're a fan of Daredevil, and definitely a really cool John Romita Jr. Reign cover, you should pick this one up. And I've read about the first half of it. Not bad. Pretty good. And we'll see if I can continue on. All right. Tom King and Jorge Forne, I think is his name, do Danger Street. And I think this is the 9th issue. Let me just take this banner down really quick. Oh, it doesn't say. Nonetheless, Danger Street's been a really, really good series. I've really been enjoying it. It takes the characters from DC's first issue specials, which was a series of first issues of characters you hadn't seen before or hadn't seen in a long time at DC Comics in the 70s. And he's taking all those characters like Lady Cop and the Green Team and Starman, and he's putting a whole big old story together. And since it's not characters that are super beloved, I think you know, people aren't going to have a problem with this version of a Tom King story. It's been really good. I've really enjoyed it, and it has you know, probably somewhat because of the cursing, has a lot of Tarantino vibes. But I could totally see this, you know, visually, like, you know, cartoon / movie style. So Danger Street's been really good, and I highly recommend it. I also recommend the variant cover. This time, Walt Simonson doing Dr. Fate. You gotta love that. Ah, there's that guy Al Ewing and Leonard Kirk, who brought him into Marvel again. Doing Avengers Inc. #1, because who doesn't want a corporate superhero stooge team with a suited up Black Widow and Vision? Again, Al Ewing's a pretty prolific writer at Marvel, and a lot of people really enjoy his books. I enjoyed his Ultimates. He's done Immortal Hulk and all sorts of other things. He's doing Thor right now. So I would recommend checking this out. It's a first issue, and of course you got to. Next up, we have Cole #2 by Kelly Thompson and Mattia de Ullius. This did really well the first issue for us, and I have a lot of Kelly Thompson fans. You know, she does work on Captain Marvel in the past. I think she's going to be doing some stuff for Oh yeah, she is. She's doing Birds of Prey that came out last week. And yeah, so this is a book that you might want to check out. If you're kind of like one of those people that feel like, you know, mainstream comics, you can't really stretch your wings as a writer or as a fan reading a writer, then definitely this is probably something you want to check out, because it's an Image book and it's Kelly Thompson doing Kelly Thompson. That makes it sound bad. 2 more to go, everybody. We've got A Werewolf by Night #1. And this is a mini series that's coming out. It's got Elsa Bloodstone in it. Who doesn't love her? I guess we're going to have some werewolves. Who doesn't love that? But even more importantly, if you are a shopper at my store and you purchase Werewolf by Night #1, in the first week, everybody's names are going to be going into the hopper. And all of those people are going to be eligible to possibly win the 1 in 25 variant. Who cares about 50s? Who cares about 1 in 100 incentive ratios? This one is drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz. And if you are a fan of Bill Sienkiewicz, you're going to want this. This is a fun little cover, kind of a little Wolfsbane-y more than Werewolf by Night, but it's definitely reminiscent of his Moon Knight #29 cover that I thought was one of the greatest of all time growing up. That one right there. And I love how the blood is dripping on Moon Knight's crescent moon, you know, his like throwing stars that he uses. But Bill Sienkiewicz, great illustrator, classic illustrator, comic artist, and his variant cover for Werewolf by Night #1 is going to be raffled off to all my my patrons of the store that purchased the first issue. There's multiple covers to go along with it. Check it out. And last, and definitely least, Saladin Ahmed. Oh my gosh, he's writing everything these days. Brings you a $10 zero issue that is super thick. Every page is part of the story. So you don't have to think that you're going to be getting advertisements for other books or stories that don't have anything to do with the subject matter that's going on in this book. It's all one story. And it's pretty creepy, I got to admit. It's all about dreams and some pretty crazy imagery that's going on in there. Not fully my cup of tea. I think it's Juan Ferreira is doing the artwork, and he's good. It's solid, but it's kind of ethereal. And I know he's going for that, but it doesn't always capture me on the page. Still, nonetheless, If you are into Spider-Man, you want a longer, even longer than an annual size story. Think more about like when Dan Slott was really going to town on those 100 issues, the 500 and the 600s. That length, and you're definitely getting your money's worth for this. So if you want a creepy Spider-Man story, this is definitely the one that you're going to be wanting to check out. That is all of the new comics. Well, it's not all of the new comics. It's just some of the ones that I wanted to bore you with to get this video out. Again, I'm doing this so that I can have my whole show live on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on the West Coast. We're going to be having, once again, Mr. Joe Casey on the show. I'm really a big fan of his and very excited to have him on. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to spring forth and make that super chat stuff happen. And even if you can't, we'll be reading questions that you might have for Mr. Joe. And we're going to be talking about some fun comic stuff and all of that stuff. So thank you for joining us watching this video. If you are interested, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell for notifications and give us a like, that little thumbs up at the bottom there, or leave a comment. Let me know which of these books you're thinking about getting. If you're a customer of mine, let me know what you're thinking about wanting to get, and I can pull that aside for you. And if you're out there in YouTube land, visit your local comic store. And with that, I'm out.
I am not interested in death. The only thing that concerns me is the preservation of life. Class is dismissed.